Alright, good afternoon everybody. It's your boy Akeen and welcome to today's vlog. Here to continue with all of my grades for each NFL team for their selections of the 2013 NFL Draft. Today I'm going to head west into the NFC West division. I think overall, out of all of the divisions, this division in particular did the best job in selecting their players for their teams. All four of these teams made some moves and they had some great improvement. And I think this is going to be the most competitive conference coming into this season in 2013. Now I'm going to start things off with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going to have to give them a B- overall. They still had some good selections. Starting with their first rounder, they did not have a first round because they ended up trading that selection to the Minnesota Vikings and picked up Percy Harvin. So I'm still going to consider that as their first round selection. Great pickup for that receiving core, another weapon for Russell Wilson, and I think that everything will open up even more for the receiving core in the passing game for the Seattle Seahawks. With their first real pick of this year's NFL Draft began in the second round when they picked up Christian Michael, the running back out of Texas A&M. A little bit of a head scratcher for me because they still have Robert Turbin behind Marshawn Lynch, who was one of the leading rushers of this past season in the National Football League. But I do like the addition at the same time with Christian Michael because he gives you another dimension of a running back, meaning with his speed and cutback ability. He's not much of a power runner like Robert Turbin and the beast Marshawn Lynch, but I think he can give you another type of running back, hybrid running back in that running back core overall. In the third round, they picked up Jordan Hill, the defensive tackle out of Penn State. I think that was a pretty good selection to help out that defensive line and stopping the run. They were 10th in the league last season in the run defense. In fourth round, they picked up a decent receiver in Chris Harper out of Kansas State. I think he will be a good backup player at the receiver position. And in the fifth round, I do like this selection a lot. Defensive tackle Jesse Williams out of Alabama. Doesn't have too much experience with football because he's from Australia, but I think he's a good raw player, and I think he has the intangibles to become a decent defensive tackle in the National Football League. And in the seventh round, they picked up a potential good pass rusher in Ty Powell out of Harding. He had a good tackles for loss during his career in college football. I think he could probably has the potential to become a good starter for that defense, but that defense is pretty stacked. And overall for this team with their selections, most of these players are either going to be backup players or be players in this practice squad for their first couple of seasons in the National Football League because their defense and offensively they're pretty stacked with great players, and I think they are Super Bowl bound coming into this season. This team has the potential to make it to the Super Bowl this season. So overall, I have to give this team a B- because of the situation. Too many stacked players on both sides of the field, so they're really looking for good backup players who has the potential to become starters later on in their careers. Now, the next team I need to talk about is the St. Louis Rams, and I think they did the best draft out of this entire division, probably the best draft overall. Seriously, I like this team a lot with their selections. They actually had 2 first-round picks. With their first selection, they went with Tavon Austin, the receiver out of West Virginia. They actually bumped ahead of the New York Jets at number 8, and they ended up stealing Tavon Austin for the New York Jets, and that was a great move. I'm calling it right now, just like before. I really think he's going to be the offensive rookie of the year this upcoming season to help out Sam Bradford in the passing attack. In their second first-round selection, they went with Alec Ogletree, the linebacker out of Georgia. I think this was a great selection because they did need a good linebacker for this team, and he could be a great leader in middle linebacker. In the third round, they picked up a great productive safety out of USC, TJ McDonald, 112 tackles last season. He would definitely be well in the run support and that young defensive backs that they already have. They have Cortland Finnegan as a great leader, and they also have Janoris Jenkins, who had a great rookie year last season. And also in the third round, they picked up a good receiver, Stedman Bailey, the teammate of Tavon Austin at West Virginia. Bailey had a nose for the end zone, 23 touchdowns last season, and this whole receiving core is young for the St. Louis Rams, and they're stacked. One of these players definitely going to have to step up this season and help out Sam Bradford. Now, in the 4th round, they picked up a good steal in Barrett Jones out of Alabama. He's very versatile, can play the guard, the tackle, maybe even the center. Jeff Fisher will find a way to put him in starting lineup in the offensive line for the Rams. I think he's a great player, an All-American, consensus All-American. He's a great player overall. And rounding up with all their selections, at 160 selection, they picked up Zach Safety, the running back out of Vanderbilt. I think this guy has a lot of potential, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. He is a good running back-to-back 1,000-yard season for the Commodores. Back-to-back 1,000-yard season for Vanderbilt. That has not happened in many years. He's a good running back, and I think he will be a good addition for the running back core. Hopefully, he can earn that starting nod. We will see that he still has to balance things out with Daryl Richardson and even George Wynn, the rookie last season out of Cincinnati. So overall for this team, I'm going to have to give the Rams an A+. Great job, St. Louis. Next team we need to talk about is the Arizona Cardinals. This is another team that I have to give an A, not an A+, but still in solid A. They had a great draft, and they have a new head coach in Bruce Arians, who is the coach of the year last season, and he's already coming off with a great draft to help out this Cardinal team. They picked up great players on both sides of the field. Now, after the trade for Carson Palmer, this was an obvious selection for them with their first-round pick. They had to go with the offensive line, and they picked up a great guard, one of my top 5 guards, in Jonathan Cooper out of North Carolina. He would definitely have some good help with protection for Carson Palmer and even help out the run game. With the second pick, they went with Kevin Minter out of LSU. He's a good linebacker, over 100 tackles last season, and I think he would be a great addition for the defensive linebackers. With Darrell Washington, I think both of these two players can work well together. And in the 3rd round, this was a big pick for them. They ended up taking a risk, but they picked up a great player, a great athlete in Tyrann Mathieu out of LSU. Now, we all remember him. He was out last season due to off-the-field issues with the marijuana issues, but I think with friend and teammate Patrick Peterson on the other side at cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, since they already have a great relationship, I think that Peterson will keep Tyrann Mathieu and teach him how to stay out of trouble. I think this was a great, excellent selection for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, for Mathieu, he might even have to convert at the safety position, because at cornerback they still have Patrick Peterson, and I think with a little bit more versatile player in Tyrann Mathieu, he might have to convert at the safety position, but we will see. In the 4th round, they picked up one of my Texas Longhorns, Alex Okafor. He's going to be teaming up with teammate Sam Acho. Hopefully, he could be a good premier pass rusher with Calais Campbell and Darrell Washington, who had 9 sacks last season and over 10 sacks last year for the Texas Longhorns. I think this would be a great addition. Hopefully, he has the potential to become a good pass rusher in the National Football League. In the 4th round, they picked up a good guard, another one of my top 5 guards in Earl Watford out of Kentucky. One of my top 5 guards coming into this year's draft. This was an excellent selection, giving a good upgrade for the offensive line, more protection, and even help out with the run game at that. 2 good blockers. I think this would be a big upgrade for the offensive line. Now, in the 5th and 6th round, they picked up 3 good skill players and running backs, Andre Ellington and Stephen Taylor, and also they picked up a great receiver in Brian Swoop out of Texas A&M. I think this could be a steal. He reminds me so much of Wes Welker. He has a little bit of the Wes Welker hybrid, and I think he could be a great addition to the receiving core and open things up back again for Larry Fitzgerald, Andre Edwards, and Andre Roberts, and whoever is else in the receiving core. They have picked up a good addition in Ryan Swoop. He's definitely a team player, and I think he could be a great addition to receiving core overall. Now, for the running back, Stephen Taylor and Andre Ellington, Taylor is a good workhorse running back. He's going to be competing with that job with Ellington and Rashard Mendenhall, who they just added from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, for Andre Ellington, I think this guy is an unknown star. He is a star athlete, but the problem is he's very inconsistent. He has a lot of great games, and then he'll have down games due to some injuries. He's He's have a little bit durability issues. If he stays healthy and consistent, he will be an effective back in the National Football League. He's a good cutback player, good speed, and he also can catch the ball outside of the backfield. I think he can start at running back, but he's going to be battling things out between Rashard Mendenhall, him, and Stephen Taylor. That's going to be a good competition at running back for the Cards. Now, overall, like I said, I have to give this team an A. Great job for Bruce Arians. Hopefully, he could lead this team to the playoffs and win Coach of the Year again, like he did last season. And last but not least, my San Francisco 49ers. What an outstanding draft that they had. I was a little bit concerned because they were picking so late in the first round, but they picked up some great first-round quality players overall. Now, with their first pick, they ended up trading with the Dallas Cowboys and went up to number 18 and picked up Eric Reed out of LSU, the safety. Now, they're going to need to fill in that void with safety because Deshaun Dawson is no longer with the team due to free agency, and they picked up Eric Reed. Now, me personally, I think they should have went with Matt Elam, the safety out of Florida, because I think he would be a better fit with the defense overall. He has a lot of tenacity. He is a hard hitter, and I think he could blend well with the teammates around him for the San Francisco defense. But they needed a lot more help in the coverage for the secondary, and I think that in covering skills, Eric Reed is a little bit better than Matt Elam. So I understand why Coach Harbaugh went with Reed over Matt Elam. Now, in the second round, they picked up a great defensive end in Cornelius Tank Carradine out of Florida State. Now, some people believe that he's a little bit better than first-rounder Bjorn Werner, his teammate. Now, due to injuries, he was out, but he is still a great elite pass rusher. He showed great skills throughout his career at FSU. And also in the second round, they picked up a tight end to replace Delanie Walker. He's now with the Tennessee Titans. They picked up Vance McDonald out of Rice. I think that's going to be a great addition. In the fourth round, they picked up a couple of good playmakers, particularly at the receiver position, in Quentin Patton out of Louisiana Tech. This kid is a playmaker, back-to-back 1,000-yard season, and I really think this receiving core will do well. They picked up Anquan Bolden for the Baltimore Ravens. They have Patton, Crabtree, Moss. They still have great players around him, and I think that Colin Kaepernick has so many playmakers around, they can make a run back to the Super Bowl this upcoming season. And their second, fourth round selection, they picked up Marcus Lattimore, the running back out of South Carolina. Good player. He's a bruiser, but he's been dealing with a lot of injuries, particularly with his knees, so I don't know how long he will last in the National Football League. I wish the best for him. I still think he's a great running back, but he's been dealing with those knee injuries. I really think he will last up to 7 seasons at best if he stays healthy and safe in running the football. And then with this group of running backs that they have, with Michael James and Pro Bowler Frank Gore and Lattimore and even Anthony Dixon, they have a couple of good bruisers and a speedster with LaMichael James, and also a great dual threat quarterback in Colin Kaepernick. I think this team, the San Francisco 49er team, can make a run back to the Super Bowl because they're stacked on offense. They have star players, and they also have stars on defense. I think they can make a run for their money. So overall for this team, I had to give them an A. I really like all the selections for each of these teams for the NFC West. I'm very proud of them overall, and I'm really looking forward and interested in seeing what we will see in 2013 in this division. Now, the next time I'm going to catch you guys is tomorrow, where I'll be headed up north to talk about the NFC North Division and give you their grades for each of the teams for their picks for the 2013 NFL Draft. I'll catch you guys just tomorrow. Thank you for watching today's vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.